Hey there, I'm Han.
And I'm Kat, and we're Brews and Reviews. So, it is well and truly time for our October wrap-up.
It is, and it's been a very fun-filled October.
Yeah, we have done so much this month. It's crazy. Just if you've noticed, I got new glasses.
Very nice. I want to give a shout out to my bro because he is the most epic brother in the world, and he went on holiday in October and he came back and he brought me this epic Pokemon jumper because I am Team Mystic like he is through and through, and I mean that, so I thought I'd sport my Harry Potter / Pokemon mug too, because why not? Because I love Pokemon. So yeah, good on you Greg, love you bro.
So we're going to get right into this now that we've,
Done a shout out.
said that we both look great right now.
Yeah.
So we are going to do it, so we're going to talk about Hannah's books first, and then we're going to move on to mine afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't actually read that many. I've only read 3, but oh well, that's just what you get. So, the first book that I read in October was This Savage Song, and this was one of the original ones that I did plan to read, and it was so great. It was brilliant. The characters in it, I loved the whole storyline. It's about, a town where, I can't go too much into it because I really want you to read it.
I will read it.
But it's about a town that's sort of divided into 2 parts. There are sort of monsters, and there's just things that go down, and the monsters aren't very nice, and people have got to be protected and stuff. I'm not doing it justice. Honestly, it's great. It's really, really good, and I would really recommend it. I can't wait to read the second one, to be fair, and I can't wait for you to read it. So, on my October TBR, I chose The Monstrumologist by Rick Yancey. I think I got about 57 pages in, and I realised this book just wasn't for me, and I have DNF'd it. I'm not saying I won't ever pick it up again. After This Savage Song, it put me on such a high. Yeah. And obviously that is quite, I suppose in a way, YA fantasy. This was a lot more, I suppose, adultier. I'm a big child at heart, okay. So, I think it was just too mature for me. I know that's really bad, isn't it?
I don't know, when you were talking about it, when you were reading it, you were like, it's just boring, nothing has happened.
I think that's the thing. I think it was the writing is, not the writing, but the way the story was being told. I couldn't just get into it. The characters, that had been introduced, there was just nothing pulling me to it. And even the monsters, I don't know, there was just something about it that didn't quite, I didn't get it. I had no connection to it. And no, it just didn't call to me. And I thought, I don't want to waste my time on it because I don't want to get into a book slump, which books like this can easily do to me, can't they? So I thought I'd best just stop, carry on with others, and then maybe come back to it another time. So after that, I did choose They All Fall Down by Tammy Cohen, and this was in my October TBR, and it's a bit different than my usual kind of reads, but in the end I kind of liked it. It was alright. About a woman, and she's gone through a lot of stuff, and basically she's been put in a psychiatry home,
a mental home,
like a mental home where she's trying to rehabilitate herself to get back into the normal world, but then things start going down in the home where she's living, and it just gets a bit, you're like, ooh, who is actually doing it? And you generally, I was generally surprised with who was doing it at the end. I really liked how everything sort of came together as well. There were a lot of different storylines, a lot of characters, different storylines, and they all interlinked, and then I was like, oh, at the end I was like, I really did enjoy it.
Because that's interesting, because you don't really read that sort of genre
at all. And at first, I was thinking, oh, it felt so slow, but I think that's just the kind of book. But it did really, really build up and build up and build up, and then I feel like I was reading little bits at the start and they felt like I was reading forever, but I got nowhere. Whereas at the end, I was reading for a long period of time, but I felt like I wasn't reading at all, do you know what I mean? And I covered a lot of ground with it, so I think it just showed that I did get into it, do you know what I
Yeah.
mean, with the storyline and the characters. And in the end I did really like it. So the last book I read in October was The Heroes of Olympus, and it was The Mark of Athena. Now I'd already started reading this at the start, like, well, end of September, start of October anyway. So I put this on hold while I did all my October reads. But then it got to the point where I was like, I don't think I've got enough time for, say, an October spooky read. So I thought I'd just carry on with this and get this done, because I love it anyway, and I really want to carry on. Again, my love for the Percy Jackson series is just, I love them. I really love them. They're just brilliant. Like, the whole characters, like Percy and Annabeth, like, they just melt my heart. Like, I love them so, so much. And all of the other characters, like Leo and Nico, like, they're just my favourites, and I just think the storylines are brilliant.
So I'm going to take my glasses off because I don't need to see in the distance right now. Now, because I read so many books this month, I actually read 14 books this month. Including audiobooks, so I guess that's not too bad, but, like, still. So, the first book I read this month was Legend by David Gemmell. Oh, are you surprised that I like to reread Legend? Probably not. This book, this amazing book, I finished it, and I wanted to read it all over again. Literally, like, the last word, and then I was like...
I can remember at dinner you were saying it, I literally want to pick it up again.
Yeah, I could just start it again right now. And I could just read it again, because I love it so much. This book is basically, I've talked about it a lot, but in case you're new here, this book is basically about a siege on a fortress where the people holding the fortress are vastly outnumbered, and this giant horde are coming, and they want to go through and invade the country beyond. And it's about, like, the defenders and how they are trying to stop, you know, the wave of badness coming through. And there's a badass old man character, but then it's not just him I love. Like, I love all the characters in this book. I'm just love them so hard. Like, I cried at work. I was listening to the audiobook and I cried at work. Cried. And I would cry again. So, if you like 300, if you like Helm's Deep in Two Towers, you will like this book. Please read this book. David Gemmell is, I don't hear him talked about enough. He is absolutely fantastic, and more people should read him. So the book that I read next was The Girl with All the Gifts. I read this book because we were watching Girl with All the Gifts to review it for our spooky TBR as well. And I enjoyed the book. I thought it was really interesting, and it was a very different take on a zombie apocalypse, and I enjoyed it very much. It was a very, you know, interesting zombie book, and at the end it was so bleak, and it left me like, oh. It was better than the film, and I liked the ending better in the book than in the film, even though it kind of ends in a similar sort of way, but yeah, I don't want to spoil it.
Like, after watching the film, from what you said about the book, I think it explains it a little bit more.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, I think from, honestly, if you have watched our reviews, like, literally in every single one of them, I'm like, so what just happened? And that was sort of like it with Go With All the Gifts, and you had to sort of explain it to me. But after you did, and like, it was from, you know, understanding the book a little bit more, I think, you know, it does give you that bit more of an understanding about what is going on, sort of. Sorry about the jump again, I just got way too hot. Like,
it's really hot in here.
Like drinking a brew, oh my god, I'm just hot, so I've taken a deep breath. Sorry, brew.
Okay, so the next book that I read this month was Daughter of Smoke and Bone by Laini Taylor. Oh my god, this book was so great. I got so into this book and I would not stop talking about it. I was like, have you read it? You need to read it, to everyone that I spoke to. And I just can't wait to read the next ones. It's just so good.
I really want to read it, like, from what you said. Yeah,
it's basically about this girl called Karu, and she works for a chimera, which is sort of like a demon-y thing. I don't know what you exactly call. They're called chimera. And she goes and collects teeth for him because that's what he asked her to do. She was raised by this guy called Brimstone, who owns the shop that she works for. And then one day, some people have been like going around and leaving handprints on all of the doors to Brimstone's shop. And chaos and things. I don't want to go into it too much because it is like there's angels, there's demons, and there's just like, it was very funny. I enjoyed a lot of the characters, and I just generally really enjoyed the storyline. It was very good. Next up was Prince of Thorns by Mark Lawrence. It was really good. Do you know why it was really good? Because the main character was a dick. Like, you know, like a real nasty guy. He doesn't care for anyone but himself. He is mean. He is gonna cut you down if you say that he looks a bit ugly today. Something like that. He will just literally... He's a dick. I really enjoyed the fact that he was a dick, because I think it is... You have so many main characters who are like, the epitome of goodness, my sweet
like
cinnamon
noble and
roll.
heroic, and yeah.
So it's nice to see someone who is doing like these epic fantasy things who's just nasty. I like it. I don't know why, I like it. Next on the list was Salem's Lot by Stephen King. Because I was in a Stephen King mood this month.
You
and
were.
I was like, this isn't on my spooky TBR again, but you know, I'm reading it anyway. I quite liked it. Salem's Lot is a vampire story, and the only thing I didn't really like about this book is that it kind of tells you who's going to be alive at the end, right at the very beginning. It's kind of got one of those things like, the man and the boy, they ran away from the town, and they need to go back to the town because of all the tragedy and things. That's not a spoiler, it happens in like the prologue, so... But
What, and then it goes...
yeah, then it goes back and tells you what happened.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, well, I want to care about your characters, but I don't, because I know they're all going to die. But actually, having said that, it's a very interesting vampire story. I enjoyed how freaky the vampires were, and then after that, I read When Dimple Met Rishi, because I have been saying for such a long time how I want to read that book. I quite enjoyed this book. It was very obvious where it was going, and there were a lot of things about it that was like, well... yeah, but that's kind of contemporaries, and I think I've kind of realised that contemporaries aren't really for me. Like, I don't get enough out of them to be like, I really enjoyed that. Like, When Dimple Met Rishi was funny, it was an interesting book. I liked seeing, like, Indian culture and mixed with things like coding, and so I did end up liking it, but it kind of made me realise that I'm not the biggest fan of contemporaries. Then I moved on to another one of my favourite books that I read this month, Graceling by Kristen Cashore. I love Graceling so much. This is another one that you need to read. It's basically set in a world where some people are blessed with what's called a grace, which means that their eyes turn two different colours, so they're marked by that, and they have some sort of ability, and it could be anything. It could be like, he's a really great swimmer, or could be a mind reader, or could have the power to kill people. You know, so there's a lot of different abilities that they could have. Basically follows this one character called Katza, who has the ability to fight and kill people, and she works for her uncle the king. But she's also got like some other things going on, because she doesn't really like how the monarchy treat people, so she likes to stand up for people on the down low. And then in comes Poe, and Poe is like the cutest cuteness of cuteness, on par with Castlethorne and Cress. Like, the next book that I read was called The Atlantis Gene by A.G. Riddle. Now, I read this book because a friend of mine had read it and recommended it and said that actually you're probably going to really like this book, so I was like, yes, I will read that. And it's a really interesting sort of sci-fi book. I went on a completely different route. I've been going sort of zigzagging everywhere this month. It's sort of set in like all around the world, and there's a lot of different things going on because there's like a terrorist plot and to take over the places, to take over the world. And there's like, well, they are kind of trying to take over the world, but they're also trying to aliens, time travel. Like, I can't explain it. There's some very weird, like, gene therapy things, and it was really complicated. That's why I'm really struggling to explain it. It was really interesting, and I'm definitely going to read the next two in the series, because I was like, I want to see where this goes. And there's, like, this really cool, like, bell thing that, like, melts people's faces off, and it's cool. So the next book I read, hold on, a physical book? What? Was The Surrogate by Tanya Carver. Well, this was on my October TBR, and it took me a long time to read, which kind of disappointed me a little bit. Now here's my problem with this book. It is your standard murder mystery sort of detectives investigating this sort of thing. I've read the second book in this series, like inadvertently, accidentally. I read The Creeper before I read The Surrogate, and The Creeper was really good and I really enjoyed it. Now The Surrogate has all of these problems because it's an introductory book, and it's like, oh, I've got to get these bases covered, I need to introduce all the characters and make them seem great, and it's like, I enjoyed The Creeper a lot more because it didn't need those.
Yeah.
And it was like, yeah, I just know some of those things, and it had an interesting premise, and it had an interesting, like, basically a bunch of babies get, like, removed from their mothers when they're nearly due. An interesting mystery, just wasn't as thrilled by the ending as I could have been. So the next book should make Hannah very happy because I have completed my yearly thing of reading one Mortal Instruments book a year. And this time I read City of Fallen Ashes by Cassandra Clare. Now I quite like this book because the previous 3 books could almost be in a trilogy, I feel, because they all like revolve around Valentine as the antagonist.
Yeah.
And like I quite enjoyed that this was like a new thing.
Yeah.
Like this was like the start of a new evil. I liked how it went on Simon a lot. I learned how he's dealing with his newfound vampireness.
And the Mark King.
Yes. There were certain things I liked about this book, and there were certain things that I didn't like about this book. Like I've just discovered that I really have a problem with how Herondale men deal with their problems. Like, talk to people. Like, is it that hard to just have a discussion when you've got a problem? Because silent treatment is the worst torture that you could possibly do to someone in a relationship. It makes me very, very angry, and I'm not going to talk about it for very long because it makes me very ranty. So, Jason needs to man fuck up. I understand why he's got these problems. I do understand, and I know, this is probably just me that thinks this, but like, I just want him to deal with his problems.
We were literally talking about this the other day. Like, it was like literally yesterday, and we were saying that, like, when I read it, I feel like I didn't get any of this, but I think I read them when I was a bit younger, and I just took it for what they were, like fantasy books, and I just got so in love with the characters that, like, I know Jace has problems with dealing with shit, but I think I just got this love for him that I can just forgive him for anything.
Yeah.
And like,
that's kind of like me with Ariel in Wicked Lovely, because I'm like, he's nasty, but I love him anyway.
Yeah.
So.
And it's like Will in the first ones. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know. Like, I know where you're coming from, but I see it from a different side. Whereas, like, I feel for them as well.
Yeah. So I find it hard to get past, like, this thing, because I know that I'd be like, seriously, what the fuck are you doing? And it makes it very hard to attach myself to them because I didn't have that attachment. And I think maybe that sort of comes from the fact that I've been reading them so disjointed. I think I'm gonna like Sebastian as an antagonist because nasty fucker.
He is, like, in a nasty way, but he makes things interesting. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that's what I like. I like it when it gets dark. I like it when it gets interesting. So the next book that I read this month made me very happy. I enjoyed this book so much. It was Cress by Marissa Meyer. I read Cinder probably about the end of last year, and I read Scarlet at the beginning of this year. Now, I picked up Cress this month. Why did I wait that long? Why? Because I love Cress. It's such a good book. I was like, missing from my life because Carswell Thorne and Cress together are just the cutest.
They are, aren't they? They're just adorable.
I just like how there's so much, like, you can, like, you feel for them so much. She's so scatterbrained, and she's, like, been alone all her life.
She's so innocent, isn't she?
Yeah, and he's, like, learning things that he, like, maybe has feels, but, like, he's still a bit clueless in this one, and he's just very cute, and how he's, like, when he's blind, he's, like, where is she?
Yeah, you just you just want to protect her, don't you? And like, you want to protect Fawn as well when he's, you know, and it's just great.
Yeah, they are just adorable, and I really like the progression of the plot in this book and how everything that was going on in every place in this book, I was like, yes, I want to know what happens next. I want to know. Because you know what happened after I finished reading Cress? I started winter. I finished winter. I raved about winter. I was at work going, oh my god, you guys need to read this book like right now because it's so good. I fell in love with all of the characters, and I mean all the characters. I love Scarlet and Wolf by the end of this book. Like, that is a massive turnaround.
Like, what they go through, like, they come so far, don't they? Like,
yes, they are adorable.
Everything what Wolf goes through and everything, and I don't know.
And Scarlet as well.
Like Scarlet.
She goes through so much as well, and like them being apart and how they come back together and just the way that they are.
Yeah.
I just find it so adorable, and like I think I can forgive Scarlet, like the book, because of how they are in Winter. Winter and Jason, super cute.
So cute.
Winter is adorable as a character. I love how she obviously suffers mentally. I love how that is treated, and I love how Jason acts about it. He's so damn cute, and like just all of it. Everybody's cute, everybody's adorable. I cried at the end. Yes, I cried at work again. This month has just not been kind to me at work. I got into a little bit of a book hangover after this book because I didn't want it to end because it was just so adorable. I feared for the characters. Yeah. Like, I was like,
you do.
Somebody's gonna die. Somebody is gonna die. Something's gonna happen. And I was like, no, don't let it happen. I don't want them to die.
And do you know what I liked as well? Like, when Winter is having her hallucinations, you genuinely like...
Is this happening?
Yeah. Like, I was like, oh my god. Like, that's horrific. Yeah. Like, imagine having to go through that. And you could really feel it, couldn't you?
So I also read Pet Sematary by Stephen King. This was on my October TBR, and it took me so long to read. I did not like this book. I found it really, really slow. I was like, oh, is something going to happen yet? Is something going to happen yet? And then even when something did happen, I was a bit like, eh. If the rest of the book had been like the last 60 pages, then it would have been a good book. I enjoyed the last 60 pages. I was like, wow, this is, you know, kind of freaky and like, ugh. But the beginning parts, not for me. I was very bored. It took me a very long time to read, and consequently it meant that I couldn't read my other spooky Halloween book, which was Dracula the Undead. After that, I then finished my emergency car book, which was Lion King by Julie Kagawa. I wasn't a big fan of this book. And this is quite controversial because you were a very big fan of this book.
Yeah, but I think we've discussed why you probably weren't a fan.
Yeah, I think I seek something very deep in like fairy books. Like, I want there to be more. I want there to be consequences. I want there to be like depth and like darkness. And I wasn't really feeling that from this book. I was getting a lot of, and this happened, and it was kind of forgotten about. I'm like, it doesn't really matter because it's a fun tale.
Like, I've encouraged you not to finish the series just because, like...
You don't think it's for me?
No, like, and I can see that, like, that, I don't know, you take, like you said, you take something from, you know, especially these kind of books, you know, with you writing one as well, you know what you want from a fae book. Yeah. And I don't think this gives you it.
No, and I don't want to, like, shit on a series you love. Yeah, I feel like that's what would happen.
That's what it is. I was like, I know what you're thinking, you're reading it, because I love it.
Like, I genuinely don't want to shit on it, because it's an alright book. Yeah. It's just not for me.
So they were all the books that me and Kat read this month. So, obviously I didn't read this month, just Kat, but...
I had the audiobooks. You don't listen to audiobooks.
I will do better next year, guys, I will.
We have a plan set out.
We have.
Forward to future
very
videos.
organised.
So in October we also watched a lot of films. If you want to know our views on those films, please go and watch our reviews or discussion videos on them, because I mean this video is long enough, guys. You don't need us to tell you what we thought. Our favourite films this month, we've got two different categories. We have Scare Factor and we have our favourites. So what were your favourites in terms of Scare Factor?
Scare Factor is The Conjuring.
That's the same for me too, actually. I enjoyed The Conjuring. Yeah. As a scariness.
Just the best throughout the whole month I think it's got to be Hocus Pocus, simply because it left me with the most feels. Like, even though it wasn't scary, I wasn't looking for that with that film.
No.
I just wanted to love it, and I did.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I know that I could happily watch that every single Halloween and not ever get bored of it, not ever think, oh god, it's Hocus Pocus, you know. Every time it'll be on, I'll be like, oh my god, it's Hocus Pocus. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I like that I know I'll have that feel for it.
Yeah. So my favourite films, well, I picked two because I really enjoyed two for two different reasons. I absolutely adore Hocus Pocus, but you all knew that before because I picked it. And the other one that I really enjoyed was The Shining, which you did not like the most.
Oh, I didn't.
You did not like that at all. I found it really interesting, and I really liked how it developed and how twisted it was. It's a bit of a mindfuck. So I enjoyed that. Now, we're also going to tell you what the worst film that we watched this month was.
Yeah. I think mine was Hellraiser.
Yeah, that was the worst film we watched.
That
this
was
month.
just appalling.
It was terrible. Now,
We've done more of a review on it, but let me just say this. Slug Morpheus. Slug Morpheus.
so that was it for our October wrap-up. This November is going to be a little bit different. We're going to be using we've pre-filmed a couple of videos that we're going to get up, and it's going to be like that because I'm taking part in NaNoWriMo.
So I'm going to be your, is it like slave driver? I'm going to be making sure you do it, because otherwise, if she doesn't hit her writing target, we don't get to watch Stranger Things Series 2, and that is not acceptable, guys.
It's not.
So she needs to be on it. And she is, you're doing really well, aren't you?
I'm doing alright. This month I have actually managed to keep to my target every day. I am on, I think, 8,300. I think that's what I'm on. So I think I'm
Slightly above.
slightly above what I'm supposed to be on right now, but who knows how it can go. So we hope you enjoyed listening to our rambles about the books we read, and we'll see you in the next video.
See you later.
Bye.